All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. There's just a couple instructions here just informing you that you can participate either by using your computer microphone and speakers or by dialing in using your telephone. And you can switch that by clicking on the audio tab in the GoToMeeting software and choose what you like there. We're going to have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar. If you have any questions while I'm presenting, you can type them into the chat panel or the questions panel, and Becca will pick up any questions that you have during the presentation. With that being said, my name is Derek Bovey. I work here as a product specialist in our sales and marketing department, and today we're going to go over all the new features in ZoomText 10. So this is a brief outline of what we're going to cover. Basically, we're going to walk you through all the new features, starting with Background Reader, then going to talk about the ZoomText Recorder, show you the ZoomText Tamra, the enhanced WebFinder, and also the new Read from Pointer hotkey for App Reader. And then at the end, we'll open it up for question and answer if anybody has any other questions at the end of the webinar. So with that being said, we'll jump right into the demonstration. I am going to be demonstrating ZoomText to you live over the Internet, so there might be some instances where it's a little slow or a little bit out of sync, and that's just because we're demonstrating it to you over the Internet instead of live and in person. Also, if you are running ZoomText, now would be a good time to disable it or turn it off. You can just press Alt-Delete to disable ZoomText, and when you're ready to re-enable it, you can hit Alt-Insert on the keyboard. So I'm going to go ahead and double-click on the ZoomText 10 icon on the desktop. See the splash screen appear, and then we'll be presented with the ZoomText Toolbar. Now, for the most part, the toolbar looks pretty much the same as what you've seen in previous versions of ZoomText, with the exception of the Tools tab. And this is where we're going to focus, what we're going to focus on, and where all the new features are for ZoomText 10. But before we jump into any of the specific features, one thing I wanted to mention is that when you install ZoomText 10, you'll also get an icon on your desktop that says ZoomText Videos, and this will bring you to a page on our website where we have all of our videos listed for ZoomText 10. So I'm just going to open this with Firefox here and just show you. So basically on this page, oops, didn't open it, but anyway, I'll go to the page manually. But on the page, what you're going to have are specific videos for all the features in ZoomText. There's an overview video that shows you what's new, kind of a brief introduction to all the features, and then individual videos for each one of the features. So if you need a refresher after the webinar, you can always go here and refer to these specific videos to do that. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about are a couple of our new reading tools in ZoomText 10. And these features here under the Listening tab are only available in the Magnifier Reader version of ZoomText 10. So if you have Magnifier, basically what you're going to get is the ZoomText Camera feature and the enhanced WebFinder, which we'll show to you later. But none of the new reading tools or Image Reader, which I'll also talk about later, are available in the Magnifier version of ZoomText. So the first feature we're going to talk about is called Background Reader. And if you're familiar with how App Reader and Doc Reader work in ZoomText, basically when you're reading something with those tools, you can't be doing anything else. You're kind of stuck in that reading tool mode. Well, what Background Reader allows you to do is multitask. So you can choose text information that you want to have read back to you and also be doing something else on your computer. So if you were, for example, you could be listening to a news article from Google News while you check your emails or respond to your emails. So I'll show you how this works. First thing I'm going to do is open a web page, and I'm going to go ahead and open Firefox and go to our blog. Okay, so ai2 and now we're on our website here. So let's say I want to read this article that we just posted the other day about our donation to the Kenyan School for the Blind. First thing I'd want to do is hold down my left mouse button and select the text that I want to have read. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select all the text here. All right, and now what I'll need to do is copy the text, either by right-clicking the mouse and choosing Copy, or hitting Control-C on the keyboard. That will also execute the copy command. And once that's been copied to the clipboard, we can go back to ZoomText and click on the background reader button.
We here at AI Squared continue to invest in the assistive technology community by donating ZoomText Magnification Reader to enable organization.
And I'm just going to go ahead and pause this and kind of explain what's going on. So after I copied the text, I clicked on the background reader button. It immediately began reading that text and also presented me with this other toolbar that's labeled ZoomText Background Reader that has playback controls on it, play, restart, capture I'll explain in a minute, and navigate by word and sentence. So the one cool thing about this, and I talked about multitasking, is while this is reading, you're free to do anything else on your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on play to allow it to resume reading, and then I'm just going to open up another website and click on a few links to show you that I'm still able to do other things while it's reading.
Organization's Mwangaza project, which will put the software into the hands of students who are blind and visually impaired in Kenya. The Mwangaza project is an international consortium of technology and service organizations, anchored by Enable and the Georgia Institute of Technology's Sonification Lab, to provide computer labs.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause that. Now, while it was reading, I opened. Looks like we got some
computer, tablet, and smart
audio playing here. There we go. Sorry about that. While it was reading, I went to Google News. I clicked on a link for a sports story and opened up that website, which happens to be ESPN, which has a lot of videos on it. So while background reader is reading, you're free to do anything else on your computer and listen to ZoomText in the background. You can play and pause it at any time by clicking on that play button. It'll cycle between play and pause. Restart will start it from the beginning. This capture button, so if I click on play, it's going to play back whatever I had copied when I initially started background reader. But if I've copied something into the clipboard since I opened it, so for example, let's say I copied text from this article about the NHL playoffs, and I click play.
Training and accessible education to students.
Well, that's still the text from the Kenya article that I had copied initially. So if I want the most current information from the clipboard, and I already have background reader open, I'd just click on the capture button.
Nashville, 10. The NHL find Nashville defenseman Shea Weber 2,500.
Okay, so you can see that that was the text information that I copied from this article. So that capture button will just read the most current information from the clipboard. And then you also have buttons to navigate by sentence and word, previous or next sentence or word. And there are hotkey combinations for all of these buttons on the toolbar. So you could even minimize the toolbar and have it be reading.
$2,500 for slamming Detroit forward Henry Vandenberg's head against the glass at the end of Game 1. Western Conference playoffs get all the news and commentary on the...
Okay, and so I just did a hotkey to exit background reader as well, but there is an exit button here on the toolbar also. So this is completely controllable by hotkeys, and so I showed you how you would do this by using the mouse, left-clicking and selecting text. There's an easier way to do it by using hotkeys, and you still need to use the mouse to select the text, at least initially. You can do it via the keyboard, but it's kind of a creative way to do that. So I'll show you the easy way to do this with hotkeys. So before I showed you, you left-click and select your text, and then copy it by right-clicking, choosing copy, or hitting Control-C. There's an easier way to start background reader from your selection, and that's just by pressing caps lock S as in Sam.
We've heard for a long time that people would like to see more training video.
Okay, let me show that to you one more time. So I selected my text, and then just hit caps lock S.
We've heard for a long time that people would like to see more.
So I'm eliminating one of the steps. Instead of selecting text, copying, then starting background reader, I can start a little bit quicker with that caps lock S hotkey. And if you're curious as to what all the other hotkeys are, if you go to ZoomText, click on the settings menu, go down to hotkeys, there's a hotkey group for background reader, and you'll see them all listed here. So for example, current sentence, caps lock spacebar, exit, it's caps lock escape, play pause is caps lock enter, so on and so forth. So they're all listed here as well. So kind of a handy tool to allow you to multitask while using ZoomText reading tools. Now the next feature we're going to talk about is called ZoomText Recorder. And what this allows you to do is convert text into an audio file. So you can save it out as a WAV or Windows Media audio file, or export the recording directly to iTunes or Windows Media Player. So the first thing you're going to do is, similar to Background Reader, is find some text that you want to copy. So I'm going to go ahead and open a document that I have on my desktop. This is the Gettysburg Address. It's just a Word document here. I'll go ahead and left-click and select the text in this document. Okay. Now that I've done this, just like with Background Reader, we're going to copy it by right-clicking and choosing Copy, or hitting Control-C on the keyboard. Now if we go to ZoomText and click on the Recorder button, we'll be presented with another dialog here where we can choose our recording options. So the first thing you can choose is where you want to save the recording to. We can save it out to a file, or export it directly to iTunes or Windows Media Player. And it'll actually put those in its own playlist called ZoomText Recorder, which allows you to easily sync the recording to a mobile device like an iPod or an iPhone. So if you choose File, you can click on the Browse button here and define where you want to save it. Like, for example, if you want to save it to the desktop, you can do that. Here you have your various file types you can save to, WAV or Windows Media Audio. If you're exporting to iTunes, it'll export as an MP3. iTunes has the ability to encode as an MP3. We can't do it directly because of licensing, but if you export to iTunes, you get MP3 for free. And if you choose Media Player, it'll export as a Windows Media Audio file. I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works with iTunes. So I'm going to choose that as my destination and just name this Gettysburg Address document. Okay? And my track location is going to automatically be wherever my default music directory is on my machine. And I could just simply click on the Record Text button to have that recording start. But before I do that, a few other things. You have a preview area down here where you can listen to a preview of the text that you've copied, which you can see in this window to the right. Or the Capture Clipboard button. It works the same as the Background Reader Capture button, where it'll replace what's currently in Recorder with the most current information from the clipboard. But lastly, one of the more important settings, I think, is this Show Synthesizer Settings button. This allows you to define what voice that you want the recording to be saved in. So my screen reading voice for ZoomText right now is NeoSpeech Paul. I could change that to NeoSpeech Kate if I wanted to for my recordings, or I could choose a different synthesizer that I have installed on the machine, like Microsoft Anna, for example. But for now, we'll use NeoSpeech and we'll choose Kate. You can also adjust your rate, the pitch if the synthesizer allows you to change it, and volume as well. So now we're going to go ahead and record it. And before we do that, I just want to check something real quick, because sometimes iTunes has a bunch of updates. And if there's any updates that come up, they can kind of mess up our recording here. So I'm going to go ahead and actually remove all this too, so that we clear out. Okay, all right, so let's close iTunes. I just need to do a little bit of house cleaning there. So, all right, so now I'm going to click on the Record Text button, and I can see there's a progress bar showing me that the recording is going right now. And when it's finished, iTunes will automatically open. I heard the tone indicating that a recording has been imported. And if we take a look at iTunes, there's a playlist under here called ZoomText Recorder. And here's my recording, Gettysburg Address document. It's 1 minute and 31 seconds. And let's just click on play.
The Gettysburg Address. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and pause that. So you heard that that was NeoSpeech Kate. Recorded it out pretty quickly. It was a pretty short document, but it's around 7 to 10 seconds per page of text. So if you have a longer document, it's obviously going to take longer. But I'll show you, in the case of longer documents, how you can do this a little bit easier through the use of hotkeys. So I'm going to go ahead and close out everything here, close Microsoft Word, and go back to our desktop. and I have a chapter of a book here. It's a PDF document that I'm going to open. Okay, so this is a 6-page document. It's the first chapter to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. All right, now, before I showed you, I left-clicked and highlighted all the text start to finish in the document. Well, there's an easier way to do this if the entire document you want to have recorded. And if you want to select all of the text in that document, just press Control-A on the keyboard. That's the Select All command. So now we have the entire document selected, and I can start Recorder from my selection. Instead of hitting Control-C, much like Background Reader, I have a hotkey to do this, and it's Control Caps Lock S. Remember, Background Reader was Caps Lock S. Recorder is Control Caps Lock S. So we see it pre-fills the track name in there for us, which is the beginning of the text that I've copied. It's all in here. Okay, so I'll rename this, give it a friendlier title. Okay, so we've got our track name. All right, I'm going to save it out to iTunes with NeoSpeech Kate. Let's click Record. So this is a longer document, so it's going to take a few more seconds than the first recording. But one of the things I also wanted to show you is that while this is recording, I'm free to do other things on my computer. So I could be on the web in Firefox and using App Reader and reading a document or reading an article.
Oh, ZoomText Training by Derek Bove on April 6, 2012. We've heard for a long...
So even though ZoomText is recording, I'm still able to do other things on my computer, and utilize the reading features even though something is being recorded out right now as we speak. So I think it's just about done. It may have, there we go. We heard the tone from iTunes indicating that the recording's complete. And if we look, we now have another recording, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. It's 15 minutes long, and it took probably less than half a minute to record that. So it's pretty quick. And just go ahead and play this for you so you can hear it.
Project Gutenberg's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This ebook is for the use of anyone, anywhere, at no...
Okay, so that was the beginning part of the copyright information, the ebook. But you saw how easy that was for me to do. So if you had something that was, 100 or 500 pages long, that was an ebook or a PDF, again, it's about 7 to 10 seconds per page. But the good news is while it's recording, you're not precluded from doing anything else with ZoomText on the computer. So really handy feature that allows you to convert any text. As long as you can copy it to the clipboard, you can convert it to an audio file. And there's no theoretical limit to how much text you can put to the clipboard. So if you had something that was 1,000 pages, for example, as long as your computer can handle it and copy it to the clipboard, you can record with ZoomText. So that's another one of the exciting new reading features in ZoomText 10. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, I'm just going to close out of all these documents that I have open, and get back to the ZoomText Toolbar. The next thing we're going to talk about is our ZoomText Tamra feature. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with this feature, I'll explain a little bit about what that means. What we've developed in ZoomText 10 is the ability to utilize a high-definition webcam to view and magnify printed material right on your computer screen. So the camera is effectively your video source to allow you to view something like a newspaper or your mail, credit card bills and things like that right on your computer screen with ZoomText, and allow you to magnify and apply color filtering to the live image. Now, before I show you the feature and what I have set up here, I want to talk a little bit about what we're selling as a camera package, so I can kind of better explain to you how it works and what it looks like. So on our website, we have a heading here that says Camera Packages, all right, and I'll show you what we're selling right now. There's a picture of it down here somewhere. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. What we're selling is an official camera and stand bundle, which comes with the Logitech C615 high-definition webcam, and also a custom-made camera stand that attaches to the edge of your desk via C-clamp design. The camera is, the camera stand itself has a 24-inch flexible arm neck that you can bend pretty much any which way you want. But the real benefit to this is that it has a threaded tripod mount that connects to the camera so that you can easily position the camera above what you're trying to read, and also move that information so you can reach all four corners without it bumping into the camera or the stand. If you take a look at the picture, the camera is oriented above the box, which is the printed material that we're trying to read, and we can reach all four corners of that box by moving it underneath the camera without it moving off the desk or bumping into the stand or the camera. Now, one thing I will say, kind of as a quick tip for those of you that are in the webinar here today, we're going to be introducing a couple new camera options next week. So we're going to be having, along with the C-clamp camera, we're also going to have a weighted base plate version of this, which just sits on your desk. We've added some improvements to the camera stand as well. So the pricing for those, and again, this is next week where we'll be selling these. The C-clamp version with the camera will be $179. And the weighted base plate version and camera will be $199. So my recommendation to you, I mean, you could buy one today, but we're adding some improvements, 3 or 4 significant improvements to the current design that will be available next week. So, and you can even buy both versions of the stand if you want to have one at home and one at work. So keep an eye out for those. Probably starting mid to late next week, we'll be selling those. And that's what I have set up on the desk next to me, so you can kind of get an understanding of how this works. So there's 2 buttons under the camera heading. One says full and the other says docked. Full means the camera will take up your entire screen, and docked is a split screen view, which I'm going to show you first so you can get an understanding of what the features are for the camera. All right, so right now I clicked on the dock button, and in the top half of my screen I see a live view of what my camera is looking at, which is a newspaper. It's a little bit dark in this room right now, and I kind of intentionally have it in a poor lighting environment to show you some of the more powerful features of the camera. So at its most basic, when I started the camera feature, I also have this toolbar that shows up. The most basic thing I can do is zoom in on what I'm looking at by clicking on the Zoom Plus button. Okay, and I can magnify this up to 36 times. All right, so I'm just increasing that. I'm probably at about 10x right now. Okay, so very simply, you can just use it to enlarge the text so it's easier to read. But some of the other benefits that you have here include some enhancements like color filtering, which, if you're familiar with ZoomText, we also have color filters in ZoomText. This is specifically for the camera. So we have a bunch of preset 2 color schemes. For example, black and on white. So this is black text on a white background. And I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. Actually, this looks pretty good even in the poor lighting. Okay, so you can see that this is black on white. I'll go through some of the other ones. There's blue on white, white on black, yellow on black, white on blue, and yellow on blue. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to cycle back through here. I think this one looked kind of poor. Now I mentioned how I was kind of in a bad lighting situation. This is kind of in a dark area of the room. Just getting a little bit of sunlight through the window here. So it's actually not that bad. The camera doesn't have a built-in light source, so what we've added on the ZoomText Camera toolbar is this clarity control. And if you click on this, this allows you to adjust the brightness and contrast of the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and drive up the brightness a little bit, okay, and also increase the contrast. Now, if you notice, I'm going to turn this off. This is what it looked like before. Notice how dull that background is. It's not really a pure white. It's more of like a bluish gray color. And after I've optimized it, look how much brighter that background is and how much clearer the text is on screen. This is much, much easier for me to read. So not only do we have different 2 color schemes to help the readability of text, but the clarity controls make it even easier for you to read and kind of fine-tune the visual aspect of the camera to make it work in any lighting situation. So I'm going to cycle through the color schemes again so you can see them. There's white on black. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see. Yellow on black, white on blue, yellow on blue, black on white, and then finally back to blue on white. So again, those clarity controls made a huge difference, even though I'm not in a really bad lighting situation. But if you had direct overhead light that was causing hot spots on screen, you can use that clarity control to kind of eliminate those. So it's a really powerful feature. And again, you can see how good the text looks on screen, even though I'm magnifying it at about 12 or 14 times right now. Now, one rule of thumb to keep in mind is this camera has a pretty short focal length, meaning you don't want to have it 3 feet away from what you're looking at. Okay, since there's no optical lens on the camera, zooming is going to cause the image to degrade. The more you zoom in, the more degraded it's going to look. So a good rule of thumb to remember is be about 4 to 6 inches away from what you're trying to read. If you're any more than that and you have to zoom in a significant amount, it's going to really look pixelated on screen before you can read it. So if I, for example, if I zoom in quite a bit, you'll see that there's a lot of pixelation around the word there that's very visible at this point. So again, good rule of thumb, 4 to 6 inches is a good thing to keep in mind. Another control that we have here is you can adjust the focus of the camera. It will autofocus by default, but it has a tendency to see any motion as needing to refocus the camera. So if you click on this button and choose to enable the manual focus, you can drag the slide bar until you find where it's in the right focal length, and then just click OK. So now the camera won't constantly be autofocusing. And as long as my focal distance doesn't change, how close or far away the camera is from the printed material, I won't have to change that again. So now the camera will be less kind of jumpy on screen. All right, so those are the enhancements. Those are the real benefits to this product or this feature. And a few other things you have controls here to rotate the image. So if it was sideways or upside down, you can click on this rotate button to rotate the image 90 degrees. The dock button allows you to cycle between split screen views. So we have it on the top half of our screen.
Camera vertical split.
You can have it on the right.
Camera horizontal split.
Bottom.
Camera vertical split.
Or left-hand side of the screen. If I click it one more time.
Camera horizontal split.
We're back to top. So you can have it on any of the 4 sides of the screen that you like as well. Now the last mode is the full screen mode. And when you're entering full screen, you'll get a message that comes up that says you're activating the camera in full view. The camera toolbar will not be available. It won't be visible on screen. So we tell you what some of the hotkeys are here. They're all listed. I'm not going to go through all of them, so I'm just going to click on Continue.
Camera full.
So now my camera view is taking up the entire screen. And again, there's hotkeys to do things like zoom in and zoom out, adjust your color filter, change your focus, your manual focus. Your brightness and contrast can also be adjusted through hotkeys as well. So basically everything that you saw me do on the toolbar, there's a hotkey for. In the full screen mode, you're not going to see that toolbar, so it has to be done by hotkey. So very simply, when you're ready to exit full screen, just hit Escape on the keyboard, and it'll bring you back to your normal ZoomText view. So that's the ZoomText camera. Again, a really, really powerful feature. And for under $200, both the new camera stands are going to retail, again, for $179 and $199. You're getting something that's not only a portable but affordable CCTV alternative. It doesn't have all the features and all the bells and whistles that you'd find in a traditional CCTV, but it's also a fraction of the cost. It's probably about 10% of what you'd pay for a traditional CCTV, and it's portable and it doesn't take up your entire desk. So really nice feature that we added in ZoomText 10. And if you do have your own webcam, you're welcome to use it. I do highly recommend that you purchase our official camera package because of the stand. But if you have a high-definition webcam, you can always give it a shot with ZoomText and see how it works. And if you're creative, definitely make your own stand, because if you have to hold it by hand and try and move the camera around while you're looking at your computer screen, I think you're going to get frustrated with it pretty quickly. So for that reason, we recommend that you buy the stand from us. But if you have your own camera and want to make your own setup, you're welcome to do that as well. All right, so moving on, next thing I want to talk about briefly is Image Reader. What Image Reader is a forthcoming companion product to ZoomText, and it will be a document camera, so different camera than what I've shown you here today, a document camera and OCR software package that will allow you to take a picture of printed material and have it read back to you. This product is currently still in development, and we're looking at a late summer, early fall release for this. So check our website, check our blog in the next 3 to 4 months for more information on it, and we'll have more information in terms of pricing, feature sets, and things like that once it's closer to release. Now, before we jump into WebFinder, I want to show you a new feature for App Reader, a new hotkey mode that we've added that's very handy. So if you're familiar with how App Reader works on the web, okay, if I have a web page open and I click on my App Reader button or I hit the hotkey to start App Reader, it's always going to jump to the top left of the web page, and then I have to move my view down and then left-click where I want it to start reading.
We here at AI Squared continue.
Okay, so if I was, if I was here on the web page and I thought, oh, I want to start reading here, I'll hit Alt-Shift-A to launch App Reader.
Tool.
Oh, great! Now I got to find my spot again. I have to scroll down. Okay, there's where I want to start.
We here at AI Squared.
And then I'll click. Well, what we've done is added a new hotkey so you don't have to go through that frustration. Instead of Alt-Shift-A, hold down the Alt and Shift keys, and then just left-click where you want it to start reading.
With the help of ZoomText, these students will enhance their computer literacy and education.
Okay, I'll show that to you one more time. Again, instead of doing Alt-Shift-A and then left-clicking, just hold down Alt and Shift and left-click, and it'll start wherever you left-click your mouse.
ZoomText Magnification Reader to enable organization as Gaza project.
Okay, so really simple. Again, Alt-Shift, left-click. It'll save you a lot of time, aggravation, I'm sure, when using App Reader. All right, so the last feature that we're going to talk about is on the Magnifier tab. This isn't on the Tools tab, but on the Magnifier tab, and that's WebFinder. Now, we did have WebFinder in ZoomText 9.1, but it was pretty limited as to what it could do. Basically, it would show you a list of links on a web page so you could filter through any of the link results. Well, we've completely enhanced and revamped WebFinder for ZoomText 10. Now you can navigate through search results on a page and also take a look at a list of various web page elements, not just links, but you can look at headings, lists, forms, tables, controls, and images as well. So a very robust tool. I'll kind of show you the easiest way to use it and then some of the more advanced ways to use it. So very simply, when you're on a website in a supported browser like Firefox or Internet Explorer 8, click on the WebFinder button. You'll be presented with the WebFinder toolbar here, and your cursor will be blinking in the Enter Search Text field. And you have a number of different options which we'll go through here later. But the simplest thing you can do is when you're on a website, type in what you're searching for. And let's say I'm searching for results pertaining to ZoomText. And I'm just going to click Enter, hit Enter.
AI Squared donates ZoomText to Kenyan schools for the blind. Heading 2 contains link.
All right, so there's my first search result. It read to me what it was. It highlighted the result as well. It also told me that it was a heading that contained a link, which means I can execute that link. I can also start App Reader from here as well if I want. So if you're familiar with how the Find feature works in a web browser, you hit Control-F on your keyboard when you're in IE or Firefox. That'll open up the Find command, and it'll show you the results and whatnot. And while that's great, ZoomText won't track or read those results to you, at least easily. So you can think of WebFinder as kind of a glorified find tool at the very simplest. You can just use it to find search results on a page. So I can click on the next button to see where the next results of the word ZoomText is.
We here at AI Squared continue to invest in the assistive technology.
Okay, so this is a plain text result in the middle of the article. Notice how the execute button's grayed out because that's not a link, so I can't click on it.
With the help of ZoomText, these students will...
I'm just going to keep going through some of the results here.
Heading 2 contains links.
So now we're at another heading.
We'd like to know what's the easiest way ZoomText installation CD. ZoomText installation CD.
Okay, so you can see there's a lot of results pertaining to the word ZoomText on this page. And I'm free to go through all those results and navigate by clicking on that Next button until I find what I like. But there's an easier way to do this, and I'm just going to go back to the beginning. Kind of a more power user way to do this. Right now, I'm searching for all text results on the page. Okay, and if I click on this drop-down, I'm going to see I have a number of different other options that I can search on. So these are different web page elements. So you can search by heading, links, images, tables, lists, forms, or controls. At its simplest, for the most part, you probably, if you're on our blog and you're looking to read something, you're going to be searching for a heading or a link. So let's change our search type to headings. And now this is only going to find the search results containing the word ZoomText that are headings. So this should find just articles for us. So we've got the first one selected here. This was the article title. I'll click Next.
Oh, ZoomText Training, Heading 2.
Okay, so we went to the next heading, which is another article about ZoomText Training. Notice how it didn't go to those plain text results in the middle of the article that it was showing to us before when I had it set to all text to search. So now we're just going through article headings.
ZoomText 10 Tips and Tricks. Read from Pointer, Heading 2.
Okay, so again, we're just going through heading results, and this is an easy way for me to see what the articles are. And let's say I want to read this one. I'll click on the Execute button, and this is going to open the page for me. All right, now the page is open, and I want to get to the beginning of that article. I know that it says ZoomText in the heading, and it is a heading, so let's click on Next.
ZoomText 10 Tips and Tricks. Read from Pointer, Heading 1.
All right, so we're on that heading, and now I want to start App Reader, so I'll click on the App Reader button.
By Derek Bove on March 30, 2012. Have you wanted a quicker and easier way to start App Reader so that it starts reading exactly where you want it to?
Okay, we already went through that, so we don't even have to watch this video. So what I showed to you right there is kind of a basic way to use WebFinder. You can use it to search for text that's visible on the web page, navigate through your results, find what you're looking for, execute the link to go to the page, and then start reading from there if you want to. So that's the simplest and most basic way to use it. Now, on the more advanced side of things, if we're on a web page like Google News, for example, and again, you're just looking for news stories, let's say you don't know what you're looking for, okay? So when I open WebFinder, and I just opened it by using the hotkey, which is Control-Shift-W. If I don't know what I'm looking for on Google News, how am I going to search? You know, what am I going to do in this case? Well, what you can do is navigate by, not type anything in the search result here, but navigate by a different web page element type. And in the case of Google News, most of their articles are headings. They're also links as well, but we'll choose headings. So you can choose this and then just click on the Next or Previous button, but there's also hotkeys as well. So for example, I could hit Control-H and just start cycling through all the article headings.
Top stories.
And I'm going to keep hitting the Control-H hotkey to go to the next result.
Zimmerman held pending arraignment in Trayvon. Democrat apologizes for California Supreme Court. No launch from Korea. Cabin in the Woods. Review.
Okay,
Heading 2.
So I'm going through all those headings. I can hit Control-Shift-H to go in the opposite direction.
No launch from Korea. California Supreme Court. It's not. No launch. Cabin in the Woods.
Okay. So again, you can use hotkeys to navigate through all those items very easily. Just keep on hitting Control-H to go through all those headings on Google News, and you can cycle through all the news stories very quickly. There are hotkeys for all the different web page element types you can go through. So for example, it's Control-L for links.
Cabin in the Woods. BBC News. Sirius. Create a Google account.
So I'm going through all the links by hitting Control-L. Control-I for images.
CBS News. CBC.ca. Christian Science Monitor.
Okay, so those are the images that are on the web page, and most of them aren't tagged very well. But there are hotkeys for every type of web page element that you can go through. So Control-I for images, T for tables, S for lists, F for forms, and C for controls. So if you're a power user, you're a keyboard user, you can very easily jump around the web page by using those hotkeys to go through the different element types And if you knew you were looking for a form, for example, you could just hit Control F. Like if you had to type in, name, username information, you could just hit Control F.
Search
and it
news.
would bring you to a form. So, for example, there is one form here. It's the search box up here, and I could very easily move my focus up there and start typing. So, if you're a power user, you like hotkeys, you can very easily jump around the web page very quickly by doing that with those hotkeys. Now, the last mode of operation that I'll show you, and I'll go to CNN's web page for this, is the list view in WebFinder. Now, if we look at CNN's web page just visually, I'm just scrolling down the page using the keyboard here. There's a lot of information. There's a ton of links. It's kind of difficult to tell what you even want to be looking for since there's so much. So if we open WebFinder and click on the list button, this will give us a more traditional quote-unquote view of WebFinder. And here it'll list all the items on the web page. There's 540 items on the page. It'll show us the name of the item, what type of item it is. So there's links, images, lists. You can go through here and see all the various items. It's mostly links. But if you wanted to just visually scroll down, and find whatever you were looking for, you could cycle through all of these until you found what you wanted, and then execute that link. So you can also fine-tune the list here. Right now we're looking at all the items on the page. We can just look at links. There's still 409 links on this website, so there's quite a few. And then if you type in here, let's see if there's any. Trying to find what's current today. Let's see if there's any NFL links. There we go. All right. There is a result for NFL, but it's in the word conflict. So let's type in Syria, because I think there's okay. So there's 7 results for Syria and 7 links here. So you can see that they're all listed. I can choose to execute them, start app reading from that part of the page, or the Go To button will also show me where that is on the page.
Tenuous truce holds in Syria.
Okay, so again, the list view gives a more comprehensive view of all the elements on the web page, so you don't have to, navigate next. You can just look at it in a list if there's a lot of items. So that's WebFinder. It is, there's very many different ways you can use it. Again, the most simplest way you can use it is to search for what you're looking for on the web page. More advanced way to use it, use the hotkeys or the list mode to really drill down and find exactly what you're looking for, or filter through information on a very complex page. Okay, so those are all the new features in ZoomText 10. That concludes our demonstration portion of the webinar. If you are running ZoomText, you might want to turn it back on right now. There's just a couple other things we're going to talk about before we open it up to Q&A. But on the last slide here, there's just a few bits of information. Our sales and support hotlines are listed there. Tech support's available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you have any questions on using any of the new features or run into any problems with ZoomText, you can give them a call. We offer free technical support, even if you haven't purchased, ZoomText. You can call them and they'll be glad to help you. This webinar is given every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. You can sign up on our website. If you go to our homepage of aisquared.com and click on the support tab, on the left-hand side, click on training and consulting. You'll see this webinar along with any other weekly webinars we do. And our tech support department also does about 1 webinar every month on specific topics, specific use cases for ZoomText that you can sign up for there as well. They are all free. And lastly, we have a worldwide network of dealers that resell our product. So if you go to our homepage and click on the Dealers tab, they're listed by state here in the U.S. and country internationally. So if you need someone to give you some in-home assistance or you want to talk to someone in person about ZoomText, please rely on our dealers for that. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone that's logged into the webinar. And at this point, if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask. Do we have any questions during the webinar? No? Okay. And one thing, too, it looks like you're logged in using your computer microphone and speakers, so if for whatever reason we can't hear you, just type in your question to the chat panel or the questions panel. We'll pick it up there. Also, if you think of something after the webinar you just forgot to ask, you can always contact us. The email address is learning@aisquared.com, and we can pick up any questions that you have there. All right, well, it doesn't look like we have any questions today, so I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. Thank you guys for attending. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and we hope you have a great rest of the day.